There is something strange about getting older. People assume wisdom comes from learning more, collecting more experiences, or finding the perfect answers to life's biggest questions. But after many decades of living, I have discovered that true wisdom often comes from letting go. It comes from recognizing the habits, fears, and beliefs that quietly steal our happiness year after year. If I could sit beside every person in their 50s or 60s and offer only a handful of lessons, I would not tell them what to do. Instead, I would tell them what to stop doing before they lose years they can never get back. The first thing I would tell anyone is this: stop waiting for the perfect moment. It never arrives. We convince ourselves that someday we will finally have enough money, enough free time, enough confidence, or enough energy to pursue the things we truly love. We say we will travel after retirement, start painting after the children move out, write a book when life becomes quieter, or simply spend more time enjoying nature when work slows down. But life has a way of replacing one excuse with another. There is always another responsibility waiting around the corner. One day, you suddenly realize that decades have passed while your dreams remained untouched. The saddest part is not failing to achieve those dreams. It is realizing you never even gave yourself the chance to try. Small dreams matter just as much as big ones because they bring joy into ordinary days. If you have something you've always wanted to do, begin today, even if you can only spare 1 hour a week. Those hours eventually become a life well lived. The second lesson is equally important. Stop making yourself smaller just to make everyone else comfortable. Many people spend their entire lives trying not to inconvenience others. They remain silent during conversations, hide their opinions, suppress their emotions, and avoid conflict at any cost. They believe being agreeable makes them kind. But kindness should never require you to erase yourself. Every time you pretend not to care, every time you swallow your words, or every time you hide your true feelings, you lose a small piece of your identity. Over the years, those missing pieces become impossible to ignore. Relationships also suffer because people cannot truly know someone who is always pretending. Your family deserves to know your hopes, your fears, your dreams, and even your disappointments. Your voice deserves space in every room you enter. You were not born to spend your life shrinking so others can feel bigger. The third lesson is closely connected to the second. Stop apologizing simply for existing. Listen carefully to how often people say, "I'm sorry." They apologize for asking questions, for walking too slowly, for forgetting something, for needing help, for taking up someone's time, or even for expressing emotions. Many apologies are completely unnecessary. They come from years of believing that our needs somehow burden everyone around us. The truth is that constantly apologizing teaches both yourself and others that your existence is somehow an inconvenience. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry," sometimes all you need to say is "thank you." Instead of apologizing for taking someone's time, thank them for their patience. Instead of apologizing for asking for clarification, thank them for explaining. This simple shift changes the way you see yourself. You stop viewing your presence as a problem and begin recognizing that you deserve the same kindness and understanding you so freely give everyone else. The fourth lesson is perhaps the hardest of all. Stop holding on to things that have already ended. Not every friendship is meant to last forever. Not every job deserves your loyalty. Not every relationship can be saved simply because it once made you happy. Many people stay in situations long after the love, trust, or joy has disappeared because they are afraid that letting go means failure. It doesn't. Sometimes the healthiest decision is accepting that two people have simply grown in different directions. Sometimes a chapter ends because it has already taught you everything it could. Clinging to the past only prevents you from embracing the future. Letting go does not erase the beautiful memories you shared. It simply allows both people to continue growing without carrying unnecessary weight. Life moves forward, whether we are ready or not. The sooner we accept that, the lighter our hearts become. Finally, stop neglecting your body while promising yourself that you will deal with it later. Your body speaks to you every single day. Sometimes it whispers through constant fatigue, restless nights, aching joints, or persistent headaches. Too often we ignore those whispers because we are busy caring for everyone else. We tell ourselves we are simply getting older, that everyone feels this way, or that we will see a doctor next month. Months quietly become years. By the time we finally seek help, small problems may have become much larger ones. Caring for your health is not selfish. It is one of the greatest acts of responsibility you can practice because every person who loves you wants you to stay healthy for as long as possible. Eat nourishing food, move your body, rest when you are tired, and never ignore symptoms that continue to appear. Your body has carried you through every joy, every heartbreak, every success, and every challenge. It deserves your attention instead of your neglect. As I look back over a lifetime, I rarely regret the mistakes I made. I regret the years spent waiting, hiding, apologizing, clinging, and ignoring myself. Those habits seemed harmless at the time, but together they quietly stole moments that could have been filled with laughter, creativity, peace, and love. If you are fortunate enough to be in your 50s or 60s today, remember that you still have something incredibly valuable: time. Not endless time, but enough time to make different choices. Start the hobby you've postponed for years. Speak honestly with the people you love. Stop apologizing for taking your rightful place in the world. Walk away from what no longer brings life to your heart. Treat your body with the respect it has earned. One day, when you look back on this season of your life, you will not remember how perfectly you pleased everyone else. You will remember whether you had the courage to finally live as the person you were always meant to be. One of the greatest misconceptions about growing older is the belief that your value depends on how much you do for other people. Many of us spend decades proving our worth through constant sacrifice. We become the reliable parent, the dependable spouse, the helpful neighbor, the friend who never says no. We learn to measure our importance by how useful we are. While generosity is a beautiful quality, there comes a point when giving everything to others leaves nothing for yourself. As the years pass, this habit becomes exhausting. You may begin to wonder who you are when no one needs your help. The truth is that your value has never been tied to your productivity. You were worthy before you solved anyone's problems, and you remain worthy even on the days when you simply rest. The people who truly love you do not cherish you because you wash the dishes, babysit the grandchildren, or solve every family crisis. They love your laugh, your wisdom, your memories, and the comfort of your presence. Never forget that simply being here is enough. You do not have to earn your place in the lives of those who genuinely care about you. Closely connected to this lesson is another one that many people struggle to accept. Stop believing that rest is laziness. Society celebrates people who are always busy. We praise those who work late, wake up early, and constantly fill every hour with tasks. Over time, many people begin to feel guilty whenever they slow down. They think sitting quietly with a cup of tea is wasting time. They believe taking an afternoon nap means they are becoming lazy. But your body and mind were never designed to function without pause. Every season in nature includes periods of rest. Trees lose their leaves, animals hibernate, and even the earth becomes still during winter. Yet somehow human beings expect themselves to keep moving forever. Rest is not something you earn only after finishing every responsibility, because responsibilities never truly end. There will always be another phone call to make, another bill to pay, another room to clean, or another favor to do. If you wait until everything is finished before allowing yourself to rest, you may never rest at all. Real strength comes from knowing when to stop. A peaceful walk, an afternoon spent reading, a quiet conversation with a loved one, or simply sitting outside listening to birds can restore your energy far more than endless work ever could. Taking care of yourself today gives you the strength to enjoy tomorrow. Another burden that quietly steals happiness is resentment. Many people carry old anger for years, even decades. They replay painful conversations in their minds, remember betrayals from long ago, and imagine arguments that have already ended. Holding on to resentment feels like maintaining control over the past, but in reality, it only allows the past to control you. The person who hurt you may have already moved on with their life, while you continue carrying the emotional weight every single day. Forgiveness does not mean pretending that what happened was acceptable. It does not require rebuilding broken relationships or forgetting painful memories. Forgiveness simply means deciding that your future matters more than your past pain. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day without realizing you have the power to set it down. That is what resentment does. It becomes so familiar that you mistake it for part of yourself. But life becomes surprisingly lighter when you choose peace instead of revenge. Some wounds take time to heal, and that is perfectly normal. Yet every step toward letting go creates space for new joy, new friendships, and new experiences that bitterness could never allow. Equally important is learning not to expect other people to magically understand your thoughts and feelings. Many disappointments begin with silent expectations. We assume our children should know we feel lonely. We expect our spouse to notice when we are overwhelmed. We hope our friends will recognize that we need support without us ever saying a word. Then, when they fail to notice, we feel hurt and misunderstood. The reality is much simpler. People cannot read minds. Even those who love us deeply may not recognize what we are experiencing unless we tell them. Honest communication is one of the greatest gifts we can offer any relationship. Instead of saying, "You should have known," try saying, "This is how I feel." Instead of silently hoping someone will help, ask for what you need. Vulnerability can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you have spent your life appearing strong. But openness builds trust, while silence builds distance. Many broken relationships are not destroyed by cruelty. They slowly fade because neither person had the courage to speak honestly. A simple conversation, filled with sincerity rather than blame, can heal misunderstandings that have lasted for years. Finally, perhaps one of the most difficult lessons of aging is learning to stop comparing your current body with the one you had decades ago. It is easy to look at old photographs and wish you still had the same energy, the same strength, or the same appearance. You may notice wrinkles where smooth skin once existed, gray hair replacing youthful color, or joints that no longer move as effortlessly as they once did. Society often tells us that youth is the highest form of beauty, but that message ignores the incredible story written across every older face. Every line represents laughter, tears, challenges overcome, and lessons learned. Your body has carried you through every chapter of your life. It has survived illness, heartbreak, celebrations, hard work, sleepless nights, and unforgettable adventures. Instead of criticizing it for changing, thank it for staying with you through it all. Beauty does not disappear with age. It simply changes its form. A warm smile, kind eyes, gentle hands, and quiet confidence often leave a deeper impression than youthful perfection ever could. Focus less on what your body no longer does, and more on what it still allows you to experience. If you can hug someone you love, watch a sunrise, laugh until your stomach hurts, or take a peaceful walk beneath the trees, then your body is still giving you remarkable gifts. As the years pass, happiness becomes less about chasing more and more about appreciating what already exists. You no longer need to prove your worth by exhausting yourself for others. You no longer need to feel guilty for resting when your body asks for a break. You no longer need to carry old resentment like a lifelong companion. You no longer need to expect people to understand words you never speak. And you certainly do not need to spend your remaining years wishing you still looked 25. Every stage of life has its own beauty, its own lessons, and its own opportunities for joy. Aging is not about losing who you are, it is about becoming more fully yourself. The sooner you release the unnecessary burdens that weigh down your heart, the more space you create for gratitude, peace, meaningful relationships, and the quiet happiness that so many people spend a lifetime searching for. As we grow older, it becomes easier to believe that the most exciting parts of life are behind us. Responsibilities have filled our calendars for decades, our children have grown up, our careers have demanded our attention, and somewhere along the way, many of the things that once made us feel alive quietly disappeared. One day, you look around and realize you no longer play the piano that once brought you peace, you no longer paint the landscapes you loved, you no longer dance in the kitchen while your favorite song is playing, or spend quiet afternoons reading simply because you enjoy it. Instead, every day revolves around obligations. But one of the greatest mistakes we can make is abandoning the hobbies and passions that remind us who we truly are. Those small moments of joy are not childish or unimportant. They are the threads that hold our identity together. Whether it is gardening, knitting, photography, woodworking, writing, or simply taking long walks through nature, these activities nourish the soul in ways that money and success never can. They remind us that life is meant to be experienced, not merely endured. No matter how old you are, there is always room to rediscover the simple pleasures that once made your heart feel light. Another lesson that becomes increasingly important with age is learning to ask for help without shame. Many people spend their entire lives believing they must carry every burden alone. They pride themselves on being independent, strong, and capable, even when they are physically exhausted or emotionally overwhelmed. They refuse assistance because they fear becoming a burden to others. Yet this belief often creates unnecessary loneliness. The people who truly love you do not see helping you as an inconvenience. In fact, allowing someone to support you is often a gift to them as well. It gives them the opportunity to express their love through action. Think about how willingly you have helped your own family members throughout your life. You probably never considered those moments a burden. Instead, you were grateful to be there when someone you cared about needed you. Others often feel the same way. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of trust, humility, and wisdom. None of us were meant to walk through life completely alone. We all need someone to lean on from time to time, and there is great courage in admitting that. At the same time, we must stop pretending that everything is fine when it clearly is not. For many people, the words, "I'm okay," become an automatic response, even during the most difficult moments of their lives. They smile while carrying heavy sadness, reassure everyone around them while quietly struggling inside, and convince themselves that expressing pain will only make others uncomfortable. But hiding your emotions does not make them disappear. It simply forces you to carry them in silence. Emotional honesty is one of the greatest forms of strength. It allows the people who care about you to understand what you are going through and to stand beside you when you need them most. You do not have to share every detail with everyone, but having at least one trusted person with whom you can speak openly can make an enormous difference. Sometimes healing begins not with finding the perfect solution, but simply by hearing yourself say, "I'm having a hard time." Those words create space for compassion, understanding, and genuine connection. Life becomes far less lonely when we stop pretending to be stronger than we feel. Perhaps the most meaningful lesson of all is this: never postpone expressing your love. Too many people assume there will always be another birthday, another holiday, another family dinner, or another phone call. They postpone saying, "I love you," "Thank you," or "I'm proud of you" because they believe there will be a better moment in the future. Yet life has a way of reminding us that tomorrow is never guaranteed. The people we cherish today may not be here next year, next month, or even next week. Regret often grows from words left unspoken rather than words spoken imperfectly. Tell your children how proud you are of them. Thank your friends for standing beside you through difficult times. Hug your partner a little longer. Call your siblings just to hear their voices. Let your parents know how much they have meant to your life if you still have the chance. Love becomes most powerful when it is expressed while people are still here to receive it. We spend so much time chasing achievements that we sometimes forget relationships are the true measure of a meaningful life. As the years pass, we begin to understand that happiness is not built from extraordinary moments alone. It is created through countless small choices made every single day. Choosing to return to a forgotten hobby instead of another hour of worry. Choosing to accept help instead of suffering in silence. Choosing honesty instead of pretending everything is perfect. Choosing to tell someone you love them while you still can. These decisions may seem small, but over time they shape the story of an entire life. Growing older is not about watching life slowly fade away. It is about learning what truly matters and having the courage to protect those things. Keep your passions alive. Welcome the kindness of others. Speak your heart with honesty, and never allow love to remain unspoken. If you can do these simple things, you will discover that some of life's richest and most meaningful chapters are still waiting to be written, no matter how many birthdays you have already celebrated.